Donkey Kong Country is one of my favorite games ever. Not only is it one of the best games on Super Nintendo, I often think of it as one of the best games ever made, period. This is a game that offers a wide range of great platforming segments, memorable moments, and iconic characters. Donkey Kong Country is partially responsible for the death of the Sega Genesis and Sega's eventual departure from the console industry. It is a title that defined the Super Nintendo with its new cutting-edge visuals, 3D models, and just stellar gameplay. This is a positively glorious game that needs to be talked about more, not less. And to do that, I thought I would take the time to put together a list of my personal top 10 favorite levels from the original Donkey Kong Country. Not the sequels, not 64, not Returns, simply from the iconic, memorable, timeless original. And in doing so, I ended up playing through the entire game again, from start to finish, after having 100%ed it for the first time a couple of weeks back. That's how good this game is. Every single level, basically every single level, I was having a blast from start to finish. There was no tedious moments, there were no slow-paced moments. Like, this game is endlessly replayable, and I think that's a big reason as to why it's so great. But today, I wanted to focus on the standouts. I wanted to focus on the things that stick out more than everything else. This is the top 10 levels in Donkey Kong Country. Number 10, Jungle Hijinks. Jungle Hijinks is the very first level in Donkey Kong Country, and for the longest time, I overlooked it. I was looking at a lot of the later levels and considering them, and kind of forgot just how important and special this level was when I was first learning how to play the game. Because when I was not quite as skilled at video games, I remember coming back here incessantly, going through the tree chops, uncovering every secret over and over and over again in order to rack up extra lives and play the game better. And in doing so, you sort of become attuned. You sort of begin to learn just the finer points of what makes Donkey Kong Country what it is, like the benefits of playing as Donkey or playing as Diddy, the physics, the ability, how far you can jump, the rolling jump. Like, you learn a bunch of meta skills, right, that aren't necessarily obvious to layman players purely by playing through this level. And I think that's kind of what makes it special. I think that's kind of what makes it stick out, is that this is the level where players learn to play Donkey Kong Country. You get exposed to animal buddies for the first time. You uncover secrets, probably by accident. You can explore your treehouse. Like, there's so much here that I think keep the game relevant and talked about even today. Like, there's so much here that even a new first-time player, a kid who's never played this game before, can pick it up, play it, and enjoy it, because the game mechanics are so much fun that they're fun to learn even in this first almost tutorial stage. And that's how I look at this game. That's how I look at this level. It's a very straightforward, very simple tutorial stage, and that in and of itself is rather special and well worthy of our attention and praise. Number 9, Treetop Town. Treetop Town takes place in World 3, the Forest, which in composing my list, I quickly realized is overall my favorite in the entire game. There are stellar levels, or above average levels, throughout the entire world. Lots of great, interesting mechanics and features, and Treetop Town is of the lower end of excellent, I should say. I suppose that's why it's number 9. There are plenty of things that I really enjoy about this level. I love the secrets, I love the I love the enemy placements. I love the design of the area. I love the music there, and I love the barrel cannons. I think they're a fantastic addition. But this is all stuff that I think other levels do better. I think the thing that makes Treetop Town stick out to me is primarily just how much it kind of throws at you. There are like all these little things you can do. You can skip little segments. There are lots of secrets, really well hidden secrets. Like Treetop Town, I think it's an above average level that makes the cut because of how well it executes itself, how well it comes together and creates something truly special. Number 8. Elevator Antics. Wow, this was one that I was not expecting to get on this list. I have long been a person who has suggested that the first half of Donkey Kong Country is far stronger than the second half. I'm a big fan of everything up until the end of World 4, the Ice World, and I feel like the game takes a sharp decline in quality. But as a result of this, I wasn't expecting any of the second half levels of Chimp Caverns or Creme Croc Industries to make it onto the list. But as it so happens, there have been a couple of entries, and the one that surprised me the most was Elevator Antics, a level that I think back on and realize that this is the level that I couldn't beat as a kid. This is about as far as I could manage when I was very, very young. And I can kind of see why. This is, late in the game, right before a checkpoint, I think. There are lots of obstacles, bees everywhere. You have to jump in between these moving elevators. There's this very big gap at the end. It's sort of a gimmick level. The elevator concept is nothing that's really... it's not great exactly, but it's used so effectively here. It's used so well in conjunction with established enemies and established obstacles you've seen already that it feels rather like a breath of fresh air rather than something that's just getting in the way. The way that like Poison Pond has like the mincers or other levels sort of rehash old concepts. Like it feels like it's a better example of what the second half of the game should have been. Like a simple expansion of what the game had already done earlier with its obstacles, with its ideas, with its concepts, and with its platforming. I was surprised with how much fun I had playing through this level the first time, and surprised with how readily I decided to throw it on the list. Number 7, Reptile Rumble. This is another level that I kind of underestimated how much I enjoy it because it's kind of basic, it's kind of simplistic, it's the third level in the entire game. It's just you going down this long, elaborate cave with a bunch of reptiles, snakes, and alligators trying to get you. And it's very standard Donkey Kong Country. It's very basic. There have been levels that have expanded on this concept in the past several times over, right? You have the Returns games. You have several great sequels to this, right? What makes this special? Well, to me, this is the first example where the game really starts to begin to ramp up. This is the one where it feels like there's a little bit more going on here than just typical standard platforming fare. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like this is taking everything you learned in the first two levels and sort of ramping them up. Like, it's throwing more enemies at you. It has more secrets. It has more platforming segments. It has more moving obstacles. It has more things that can get you. Like there's Reptile Rumble. Because of the way it's designed, it allows you to incorporate your platforming skills that you've established in the first two, and sort of you learn to incorporate enemies into them. Like, you learn how to bounce off enemies and sort of use their momentum to reach higher areas. You have like interesting secrets. Like, the game, the level feels a lot different than the first two, and I think that leads very much to its benefit. Number 6, Barrel Cannon Canyon. Wow, this is the big one. This is the level that really made me realize that I really wanted to talk about Donkey Kong Country's best levels, because I think this is the level that really establishes Donkey Kong Country as its own unique brand. This is the level that introduces the iconic barrel cannons, the objects that you can enter and fire yourself out of like a cannon, which leads to interesting segments in platforming and in the general level. Like, this is the object, I feel like, that really establishes Donkey Kong Country as its own iconic platforming franchise. Separate from Mario, separate from the rest of the Nintendo IPs, this is it. This is why Donkey Kong Country is so fun. I explicitly remember falling in love with this game purely on the basis that I was of learning how to like navigate these intricate mazes, like getting the timing exactly right to fire yourself through a cannon to the next cannon and to the next across these vast chasms, something that you would never have been able to manage without them. And it's entertaining, it's timeless, it's fun, and the only reason it's not higher on the list is that as an adult it feels kind of basic, but it feels kind of simplistic compared to the countless other barrel cannon canyons we've had over the years. The vast array of all these crazy barrel cannon levels in all these other Donkey Kong Country games. You know, like Tropical Freeze has several. I know Donkey Kong Country 2 even has the sticker brush stages, which I think are really make an already great idea even more extravagant and appealing. It's one of those situations in which a great idea has kind of been overshadowed by what came after. But let us not forget just how much fun Barrel Cannon Canyon was the first time we ever played it. Snow Barrel Blast is Barrel Cannon Canyon, but harder and with more obstacles, but in snow. That in and of itself would make it really high on my list. But I think the thing that really made this honestly my favorite level for a really long time, because this was my favorite level as a kid, the crazy visual effects and the gorgeous music and visuals. Like, going through this level, you know, navigating more and more challenging platforming segments, blasting across greater and greater chasms, and reaching the point where you enter a full-blown blizzard and have to continue on through it. Downright badass. This is an example of visual design making a game better. Like, this is an example of just really firing you up to get through this and clear the level. It is fantastic, it is stellar, it is iconic, it is memorable. It's the halfway point of the game, and what a glorious halfway point it is. And to top it all off, the level itself is stellar. It is so much fun to go through these segments. It manages to distinguish itself a lot from Barrel Cannon Canyon. It's mostly about avoiding enemies in this one. Like, you're avoiding bees and trying to get your timing exactly right. Like, it's a good example of how Rareware, even then, and Nintendo, even then, were considering how to subvert and challenge your expectations when it came to these barrel cannon segments. So, already in the very same game, they were innovating and introducing new concepts to make barrel cannons cool and unique for years to come, and that is pretty special. Number 4, Gangplank Galleon. For the longest time, I seriously did not think I was going to add in any bosses. Like, I thought it was going to be a no boss rule. I thought that no bosses would even get on the list, because I don't really enjoy most of the bosses in this game. But the more I thought about it, the more I played the game, the more I really began to look forward to that final encounter. Like, I would be extremely remiss not to point out just how great the final encounter with this game is with King K. Rool. Rareware, I think, in the 90s and the 2000s sort of established themselves as making some of the best final bosses in Nintendo history. You know, K. Rool in this, in 2, in Gruntilda and Banjo-Kazooie, the Conquer final fight. Like, Rareware did so much, right, to really create these interesting, unique situations that have never really been done before or since. Like, you'll never find something like Banjo-Kazooie's final fight. You'll never see something quite like Donkey Kong 64's final fight. And you'll never really see something like this. A game where the boss collapses about 2/3 of the way through and pretends to be dead in order to get you to set down your controller in relief and die when he gets back up. That happened to me. I remember beating this for the first time, getting to the end, getting through everything, getting to K. Rool, fighting him for the first time ever, and then failing, seeing those credits, being misled because I didn't understand what I was looking at. Like I thought there was something weird about the credits, but I didn't understand it. And then he got back up and got me. And I was not able to beat him that day. Or even, I didn't even return to it for a long time after that because I was so angry. But when I did return to it, when I finally did beat K. Rool, it was one of the best feelings in the world. It really, really was. And I think that's what makes this game. I think that's what makes this fight so great. This boss fight is challenging. It's radically different than everything you faced up to this point. And when you do overcome it, in spite of everything, not only do you end up loving the fight, you end up loving the game as a whole. Ending the game on a high note is never a bad thing. Number 3, Vulture Culture. Man, we're in the big boys now. I had no idea which order I should put these top 3 because I ended up loving all 3 of them for two of them are very similar. Vulture Culture is one of them. Vulture Culture is one of those levels that takes everything you've been shown so far and does incredible things with it. This is the first level in the forest world. This is the level that introduces you to the Vulture enemy, right? There are a number of new enemies in this level. You have the Neki Juniors. You have these. There are these little birds that shoot nuts at you. You have the vultures themselves that are just sort of there, and you can attack these vultures out of cannons. You can fire yourself out of barrel cannons that are precariously placed, and you're supposed to hit the vultures and bounce yourself upward in order to reach a higher platform. Insane. Positively insane. I cannot begin to tell you just how much fun I had playing through this over and over and over again. I remember when I 100%ed the game a couple of weeks back, and I was trying to figure out this. This was one of those levels where I think I had to replay it over and over and over again to 100% it, and I didn't mind because clearing those vultures, getting past them, dodging the obstacles, it never got old. It never got old. Number 2, Minecart Carnage. This is by far the most iconic and memorable level in the entire game. I believe, I'm surprised it's not number 1 personally, but it is incredible to me how there's only really one true minecart level in the entire Donkey Kong Country game. The trilogy, I should say. Of course, Donkey Kong Country 3 is garbage in general. 2 has the skull carts instead, and the second minecart level in Donkey Kong Country isn't nearly as good as this one. It has you jumping out of the cart rather than with the cart, which I think is a lot more fun. So the minecart level is an example of one of the all-time great gimmick levels. You're in a vehicle, you're rolling along these tracks, and you're dealing with enemies and dodging obstacles. You can't control your speed, you can't control your momentum, you can't really do anything but jump. You have nothing but your reflexes, and it's incredible. Getting through DKC, getting through Minecart Carnage, getting through this, clearing the game, dodging these enemies, dodging these crashed minecarts on the track, jumping over these gaps, it's thrilling. It's positively thrilling. It really is like a roller coaster ride. Now, I would say that like a lot of the newer games have surpassed this level, but in the context of like Donkey Kong Country itself, like there's really nothing else like it. And as a result, like I found myself like returning to this game over and over and over again. I remember playing this game as a kid and being excited whenever I got near the minecart level because it's what I wanted. It was what I was turning the game on for a lot of the time. It was something that I had trouble clearing for the first time. I remember like learning how to do this shortcut because I couldn't beat the level every time, and sometimes I wanted to proceed with the game. But when I did want to challenge the level, and when I did get through it, it was magical. Like simply playing the level is a magical experience, and that feeling cannot be understated. Number 1, Forest Frenzy. This might be a bit of a controversial opinion because I've never heard anyone else really talk about how much they love Forest Frenzy. To be fair, like I don't think I've heard anyone talk about like individual levels in this fashion when it came to Donkey Kong Country in general. Like most people speak in terms of like the general overall game, which is of course is spectacular, but going from individual worlds, right? Like I narrowed down my favorite as being World 3, the forest one, in part because of the music, in part because of the memorable levels, in part because of the gorgeous design of like of these areas. But Forest Frenzy, I think, is like peak Donkey Kong Country. Like I truly believe that this is the level that sort of distinguishes itself upon the others. Like essentially, this level is an expansion of the already great Vulture culture, which featured the vultures for the first time. This one incorporates a lot more rope swinging, it incorporates a lot more obstacles, and I think overall, in the end, it just improves on Vulture culture in every way. And as a result, since Vulture culture was already so good, Forest Frenzy is even better. So this is kind of how I feel that like these expanded levels, these sort of sequel levels should be structured. They should take concepts introduced in the earlier stage and then build off them. Like the last stage, Vulture culture introduced the Vulture enemy, and at the end of Forest Frenzy, the level ends with you on a rope dodging a seemingly endless wave of buzzards coming at you. And when you clear that level, you cannot believe that you managed to get through that entire wave. It's such an impressive moment. It kind of comes out of nowhere. It's when it's over, you end up just being blown away by it. Like, wow, I did that, or I died to that. I have to get past that. Like, it's such a memorable, iconic moment. And because of that, because of moments like that throughout the entire level, like how great it was throughout the entire game, right? Personally, this is it. This is my pick for the number 1 level in Donkey Kong Country. Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee. Check out my books at blackcatbooks.org. I'm working on new projects all the time. Right now I'm in the process of creating Grimm, a dark fantasy influenced by works like Berserk and Game of Thrones. So please stay tuned for that and other projects. And I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you will continue following me and checking out my content, and I will see you all next time.